Friday, folks. Welcome to PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight is a sports journalist, former youth and sports minister. He was a deputy local government and rural development minister, plus a deputy trade and industry minister. Currently, member of parliament for the Odododiodioo Constituency, Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye, my guest tonight. Good to see you.
Thank you.
They say you are Odododiodioo Mugabe.
Well, I don't think I've been there that long.
It's your third time,
yes,
right?
Apparently no one had successfully had more than 2 terms. So 3 terms, people think that has been too much.
Is it too much?
Well, you see, it's all about you serving. And anytime that people have a feeling that you've done enough, they will tell you. But for now, I can tell you that I'm confidently working to make sure that if I should decide to continue, it wouldn't be difficult. I want to serve and serve well.
I remember all the events that characterized the just ended elections. I mean, you were even arrested at a point, you were beating up, but I mean, in all, you emerged victorious. Let me ask you this, how did you feel? What was your reaction when you had the president endorse you instead of your opponent?
Well,
I mean, he mistakenly did that.
Well, let me say, people always say it's a mistake. It's not, because all that time, my prayer and fasting was fervent. I was praying, and as I was telling God all the time, God, show yourself. In the midst of all this, I want you to show yourself. So I didn't think that Nana Akufo-Addo intentionally made a mistake. I also want to believe that it was just a mistake.
Okay.
I want to believe that God used him as a vehicle to do that for him. God could bless you through various ways. Sometimes they say he will even use your enemies to bless you. And I think that's what happened. Nana shouldn't be disturbed he did that, because Nana and I did back.
Okay.
Yes. Nana's father was my grandfather's friend.
Okay.
And he and Nana used to visit my grandfather's home with his father.
Okay.
And the Achimabuakwa state itself, they have a relationship with my family.
Okay.
Because one of their ex-chiefs was my great-grandmother's driver.
Oh.
And where they have the Achimabuakwa State House now in Adabraka was actually given to them as a gift by my great-grandmother.
Oh.
So if Nana endorsed me, Nana had only done what God would want him to do. I can say for sure that it helped in a way, but that was not a decisive thing.
Okay.
Yes.
The people voted.
We worked hard. My people worked hard. The young men and women worked hard. And we also, our message was precise, concise, and more effective.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't go out there with that sort of flamboyance. We went out there, door to door, house to house. I interacted with the people, and they saw some objectivity, some genuineness in my message than people who were promising heaven.
Okay. Interesting. We're happy for you, Nii, and we wish you all the best as you serve your 3rd term. But let's talk about you as Nii Lante Vanderpuye, born in Nima, bred in Zongoling, Adabraka.
I am blessed because I am a full-blooded Ghanaian. When I say that, what I mean is that I'm somebody who has roots in almost every part of this country.
Wow.
Yes. My great-grandmother, who gave birth to my mother's father, that's my maternal grandfather, was an Ordner.
Okay.
She's partly from Savlugu and partly from Damongo.
Okay.
My great-grandfather used to drive the colonial master. So I learned in one of those their trips up north. They saw this woman selling kose, and the colonial secretary wanted some. He wanted to have a taste. So my great-grandfather went to buy it for him. And he developed interest in it. He said, how can I get somebody to be preparing this? So my great-grandfather has to look for this woman and bring her to Accra so that she could prepare the kose for his boss.
Okay.
So he also decided that, oh, the woman was beautiful. Really, my great-grandmother was extremely beautiful.
Okay.
I saw her and she was really beautiful.
You fell in love with her.
Even at that old age.
Okay.
You know, so he had to take her to the village in Adam, and he had a problem because the family were not ready to receive somebody from the north into the house.
Yeah.
So he virtually said he had to go and prepare a ground, go and cut down some weeds, and then find those days, the palm fronds, and prepare just something, a shack for her to stay.
Wow.
Until he got money to settle her. So he virtually settled her outside the family home.
Oh.
And that is what developed into Adam for Zongo.
Oh, okay.
So she was there until he got money to build a house in Nema, Accra. And then brought her to Accra.
Okay.
And when my mother gave birth to me, my mother 3 months time had to go to work because she was a public servant. At that time, her mother had just given birth.
Okay.
So she couldn't have left me with her mother. Those days in Adan, if you are not been married and you get pregnant, it was almost like a taboo. So when she told her great-grandmother, the mother said, don't worry, stay with me. So she stayed with her grandmother and had me. So after 4 months, she had to go to work. So I was virtually left with her grandmother, my great-grandmother, Ma.
Okay.
That's what I used to call her.
Okay.
So I grew up with her in Nema, in our house called the Adan House in Nema. So after about 4 years, then my mother came for me. At that time, my father had been given a house by his grandmother.
Okay.
So the house was empty because he was then staying in my grandfather, his father's house in Adabraka,
okay,
with the first wife.
Okay.
So my mother went to stay in that house. And so my mother came for me.
In Zongo
And then,
Lane.
yes, to Zongo Lane.
Okay.
When I was 6, my father said that there was no need for me to stay with my mother because my mother, as a boy, he needed to give me the training and not my mother.
Yeah.
So he picked me up again from Zongo Lane to stay with him in Adbraka with my stepmother. So I started at Adbraka All Saints Anglican Primary School till class 5.
Okay.
When we were going to class 6, my father was transferred to Kumasi and then ultimately to Sunyani.
Okay.
So I had to go with him because he needed someone to be with him,
okay,
to wash his clothes and iron his clothes and all those things.
All those rounds.
And at that time he felt I was the one. So he actually went with me together with my stepbrother,
Okay.
who was 1 month older than me.
Oh, wow.
So he is 1 month older than me. He is May and I is June.
Oh.
So when my stepmother was pregnant for my father, my mother was also pregnant.
That's like me and my sister.
A month difference.
Yes.
So we've been like twins all through. We stayed together with my father in Sunyani, Abisim Sunyani.
Okay. So
I changed my school to Rapid Preparatory School in Sunyani. And then I sat for the common entrance in 1978. Fortunately for me, I got pre-sec Legon, but my father said he was not going to allow me to come to Accra. So we had to look for another Presbyterian secondary school around because my mother was a staunch Presbyterian,
okay,
and wanted a Presbyterian training. So I was admitted to Bechin Presbyterian Secondary School, okay, from Form 1 to Form 5. I started common entrance in 1983. And I went to Infanspim School for the 6th form A level. Okay. From Infanspim School, I came to the University of Ghana.
But before we get to Infanspim, let's talk about school in Bechem. I mean, you didn't get the opportunity to go to Legon Boys in Accra, but you finally got yourself in Bechem. How was the experience like? They say you were a bad boy.
Well, truly, let me say, I was quite young in the midst of big boys. Those days, most of the people who come to Form 1 had finished Form 4, but this is somebody who was virtually like someone who was entering after class 6.
Okay.
So the bullying was so high. And an Accra boy, I didn't want people to bully me just like that. And those days in Bechim, we didn't have electricity 24/7.
Wow.
It was a generator which was serving the school. So we used to fetch water to the school plant, used to fetch water to the kitchen, and used to fetch water for our seniors to bath before you bath. So you have to wake up very early in the morning, maybe by 5 o'clock. You have to go and clean your plot, and then fetch water first to the plant, and then fetch water to the kitchen, and then fetch water for your senior boy to bath, and then fetch water for yourself, and also keep some for the evening. And we didn't have pebble water, so we walk about 1 kilometer to a stream to fetch the water. So it was always difficult. It was always difficult.
Okay.
And I remember those days, as seniors, sometimes you go and fetch water, you bring it. They said the water is dirty, they can't use it to bath, so they'll pour the water away, and then you have to go and fetch again.
My goodness.
It was quite difficult, and I had a difficult time. The bullying was so much.
Was that why you had to beat one senior to liberate yourself?
Aisha, please, don't remind me. You see, before I went to Bechim, I had started boxing. I was quite learning how to box. In fact, when I got to Sunyani, I immediately continued with my boxing. So I was in the same gym with the late Kwame Jato and the marvelous Nanaya Konedu, former world champion. We're in the same gym together at the Sunyani Coronation Park. Okay. So when I entered school, I used to run to Sunyani for training. Because my father works with the Omni Bus Service Authority, I just have to stand in front of the school gates. The bus will pick me from there, take me to Sunyani for training. After training, bring me back and then get back to school. Okay. I was sneaking to go for training. It was only my PE master who knew
what you were doing.
Yes, but he didn't want to discourage me. He wanted me. Until in Form 2, when this senior boy asked me to go and fetch water, I brought the water. He poured it away. He just threw the water away. He said the water was dirty. And you see, the water, when you go there, you are not alone. So many people were fetching water at the same time. If you have to wait for the water to be clean before you fetch, you may spend 1 hour. Okay. Because we're not the only people fetching, not only the school, the people from the community and some villages around were also coming to the same stream. The second time he poured the water away. In fact, I got mad because when you fed the water, you have to climb a hill. And it was difficult. It was tedious. So for the third time I came, this senior poured the water away again and asked me to go. I said I won't go. So immediately he started hitting me.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't stand it anymore. In fact, I got to my zero tolerance level and decided to punch back. Okay. So I gave him some 2 blows and one hit the eye and the other the mouth, and I saw blood. Oh. So immediately it drew a crowd and I was taken to the housemaster. The senior housemaster. Yeah. Why should you beat up a senior? And I narrated the incident to the housemaster. The senior housemaster. He wasn't happy that even though the senior did that, for me to hit a senior was almost like a taboo. Then somebody just whispered to him that I was a boxer. So I was called to the staff common room. I was given some lashes. Oh my goodness. And I was asked to choose between boxing and the school. So my boxing career was actually curtailed there. At that level? At that level. I would have been a boxer because I really liked boxing at that time. I was a very fine boxer. Wow. Yeah, I was a very fine boxer. Ooh. And Nanaya Konedu will tell you, will bear testimony, that anytime me and him were put together in a ring with the gloves, I always won. Yeah. You started at age 4? Yes, I started visiting the gym at age 4 because where we stayed in Zongo Lane was closer to the late Clute Robertson's house. So a lot of the young boys around, we always go there, and he was teaching us the movement and how to throw a blow and how to duck and all those things. Wow. We started very young. Okay. So at 6, I was almost getting into boxing. Wow. By the time I left Accra to Sunyani, I was almost a full-fledged boxer.
Interesting. But at that time, at some point, your father had to leave you in Sunyani because he was transferred to Cape Coast, right?
Yes.
But how were you coping? How were you managing at that time?
You know, I was in the boarding house, but at every vacation, I had to go to my stepmom. My father married another woman there.
Your father is a killer.
No, he had to cook because he couldn't have cooked for himself and all that. How many bars at that time? He has to leave the house sometimes around 4 a.m. Sometimes he will close around 11 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah. And those days, Sunyani to Kintampo, Sunyani to Techiman. So sometimes I become naughty. Do you know what he used to do? He would put me in the bus and use his belt to chain me to the last seat at the back. And I will sit in that bus with him and go round and go round and go round.
So
as if I was a bus conductor. Because anytime he comes home, there's a report I had beaten someone. I had fought with someone. I had destroyed somebody's property. So sometimes he felt that the best thing for him to do was to carry me along.
So you don't
so that I don't cause trouble. Because we settled in Sunyani. And every time Papa Krembano, because I didn't have the patience for some of them, their behavior.
Yeah.
You know, somebody will come and pinch you. Somebody will just, there's this leaf that you'll be there. I didn't know what leaf it was. Then they will intentionally come and scrub you with it and you start itching. And I won't spare you. I will chase you to your house and give you some few blows. So they felt that because they couldn't stand me in the area, they will always use those leaves on me. And then there's this one too. It was like a fruit, but then there's some fairs around the seed. When they will just do this, and your whole body will itch. So that was what they were using against me.
They didn't have the strength.
So in school, that's what led to my boy. And it was quite difficult for me at that time in school because as at Form 3, I was still one of the youngest.
Okay.
Because I went to secondary school at age 12. And in that area, I had mates. At that time, I had mates who were 18 years, 20 years, 21 years.
In the same class?
Yes, in the same class.
Wow.
And they would just give you knock. They would just, you know, it was quite difficult.
So
but
during vacation, you had to spend time with friends?
Yes, because if I have to spend time with my stepmother, sometimes the short time I had to go and stay with friends. And sometimes I had to go and do some menial jobs.
Okay.
We call it by day. You have to go and weed people's farm, get some food to eat, and also get some penny. Sometimes my friends who used to stay around in Krankwanta, Domai, Nkro, and all those things will go with me, and then we'll go and do cocoa business, cocoa smuggling business. We used to carry cocoa across the border. You know, they have the sacks, so we carry it small to fill the sack across the border.
Okay.
And that time, you could see people, somebody's house, part of the house is in Ghana, part is in Cote d'Ivoire. So you either will be working in Cote d'Ivoire or you'll be working in Ghana. You wouldn't know. All that you need is to carry this cocoa from here to here. And then we use the money we get to buy Alicia soap, geisha, sugar, and these things for school. It was quite a difficult time.
Wow.
When I come to Accra those days, I had to go to school was quite difficult. I have to do some scavenging. There's this guy who is my area committee. You know, his duty was to go around Makola, scavenge the drains, and then pick coins from the drain. So I became almost like his partner. We go to Makola Metropole area, UTC area. He will scavenge, and then we'll spread the sand, the silt, and then we pick the coins, and then we go and clean the coins. And then we save the money, and we used to buy things. We used to buy clothes, singlet, panties, and things.
Wow.
For school.
Interesting.
Yes.
So from Bechem Boys to Mfansipim.
Yes.
And at that time, finally, your father was in Cape Coast.
My father went to Cape Coast when I was still in Bechem.
Yes.
By the time I got to Cape Coast, my father had been transferred back to Accra.
Oh.
So even in Cape Coast, I did not meet my father.
Oh, I see.
I was on myself. Okay. I was alone.
How was the experience? Was it different from Sunyani?
In fact, it was a pride.
Okay.
For me, moving from Bechem Presec to Mfanspim School. In fact, at that time, I had options. I didn't know what to choose. To tell you the truth, I spent 1 week in Achimota school because my GCO level results were good.
Okay.
And that time, I chose Achimota school first choice, and then Agri Memorial second choice, and then Accra High third choice.
Okay.
But my grandfather insisted I should go to Achimota school because the Achimota school is actually on my great-grandmother's land. She gave the land to Achimota school. Okay. So the family, 80% of the family went to Achimota school.
I see.
So they were insisting I go to Achimota school. I'd had a mixed school experience. So I wanted to have a boys' school experience. So I told my mother to convince my granddad. And my mother did. But then how to go to infant school was a problem. So my grandfather remembered that infant school had an assistant headmaster, J.Y. Apedo, who was his client.
Okay.
Yeah. So he called him and he said, oh, he didn't choose infant spin, but I will get him in infant spin school.
Wow.
So I was asked to come to infant spin. I went to infant spin school. And he took me around and asked whether I liked the school. I said, well, I'll think about it. I was put for choice. At that time, my best friend also wanted me to go with him to Bishop Herman School. Dr. Kwame Yeboah, at this time, he's working with the UN, he's in Australia. He wanted me to go to Bishop Herman with him. We were best friends.
Okay.
And I also had, because of my sports, I also had opportunity to go to Opokuware. So I was sport for choice. Then a friend of mine told me, because I was very good with government, I had one in government. He said, infant spin doesn't offer government, so go to Agri Memorial. So I packed my things and went to Agri. I remember I met Mr. Pobi, who was then the headmaster, assistant master or something. He was excited to have me because they were interested in sportsmen, and he has heard that I was very good in sports. But just 1 week, I packed my things and went back to infant spin school. Because my mother heard
that you had gone to Agri.
I had gone to Agri. And she needed to pay the fees, and she was not ready to pay my fees at Agri. So I had to go back to infant spin school. So I went to infant spin, and infant spin was really a good decision.
You made.
They had a good sports facility. The park was good, so it boosted my sports life. I was training very well. That is, infant spin was where my athletics came up very good. Moses Famani was my manager at infant spin school. My athletics manager, he will go with me to the athletics oval. We had an oval, and he would always time me when I was doing the 400 meters and the 800 meters. He would time me and say the time is good. I would do some 400, walk 400, do 400. Famani was good at that time. Without the training, he could tell me what to do. And also, it also boosted my football life, because all of a sudden, when I had been playing course, when I go to school, long back when I come, I'll play 2-3 matches and then go back to school. Okay. I was not really having a permanent team to play. I started House of Folk under 20 with all these players, but because of schooling, I couldn't get opportunity. So just around that time, they were playing the reserves, the under 20s. So when I went to infant spin school, it was easy for me to be registered by Busua Dwarfs. Okay. So I was in school. My senior sponsor at that time, Dobo, Mr. Datson, was good enough to be given the opportunity, because Nana Butler and the rest talked to him. So he was given the opportunity to go for training together with footballers like Nelson Mensah, Willie Bekwen, and the rest. We were all training together. So I was playing football. I was also doing athletics. And it was good for me, because from infant spin, when I went to Legon, my sports life had then, I would say, mature. Okay. At Legon, I was 1,000. Okay. Sabah Hall, when I went to Sabah Hall, the hall was not that active when it comes to sports. So the sports secretary I met at that time, Boahin, when I was in first year, he was a sports secretary, encouraged me. So even first year, normally university first year people try to hide, but I couldn't hide my talents.
Okay.
Athletics, hockey, volleyball, basketball.
You did all that?
Cross country,
My
and
goodness.
then football.
But I guess at the university you were close to home. Mom was around and you could easily go to...
I wasn't one of those boys who were having visits. I remember all my 2 years in infantry school, I had visits only once.
Okay.
And weekends in infantry school, when you see people's parents bringing them fufu, rice, they would drive all the way from Accra with food. I didn't have anyone like that. I remember those days, me and my bedmate, who is a judge of the appeals court now, Edwin Nii Lante. He had come to Sefi. He had come from Sefi. We were Kofi Mba. So when people had been brought fufu, jollof rice, this, we would just go and buy our fanti kenke at Kotokraba with a refua, with a little bit of sauce. And they would also come and enjoy. The whole 2 years in Fanspin School, I was visited once by my auntie, who was a nurse at that time. Manse Stasera, she's come on retirement now. She even was on a workshop in Cape Coast.
And she took the opportunity
to come and visit me. But at the university, my auntie, the late Madame Christiano Sabote, used to send my junior auntie Stamage to visit me and brought me a lot of pastries. I knew how to cook rice, I knew how to cook yam.
Okay.
And then, let me say this, because of the stew was always tasty, and whenever I put on fire, the aroma enters every room at the Ponglo. So people used to come and then I will measure it and give you a spoon or a spoon and a half to also go and have your kenke.
You were that good?
It come handy with me because from my background, I was taught by my great-grandmother always to share. As a Muslim, she believed in sharing and she inculcated that attitude into me. So I've grown up sharing.
She couldn't get you to become a Muslim?
I used to be. I was called Dauda. As at primary sex,
okay,
I was partly a Christian and partly a Muslim, because my father would not want to see me. My father would not want to see me practicing the Islamic religion, so I used to hide and go and pray in the mosque.
Okay.
One day I was in the mosque. I don't know how my father got to know. Then angrily he entered the mosque. When I have gone down, he picked me by the waist. He gave me some few slaps. But he also received equal slaps from the group of Muslims who were praying with me at that time. They did not spare him. But because of what they did, when he took me home, he visited all the anger on me. He locked me up and gave me some real beating with a belt. It was real beating.
My goodness.
And warned me the next time he sees me in the mosque, he will kill me.
And that was the end of
the end of my being Dauda. And at that time, my great-grandmother was not too close to have that influence on me.
Yeah.
And my mother was also a Christian. So my mother was more comfortable with me following her to Presby Church. So I was attending Presbyterian Church of Resurrection with my mother.
Okay.
And
Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye is my guest. No, I forgot that. Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye. When I return from this break, we'll be finding out why somebody who loves sports so much so that he could have become a boxer, he could have become a footballer, but chose not to be any of that, but a politician. We'll be finding out all of that after this break. Do stay with me. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile. My guest, still Nii Lante Vanderpuye. So after University of Ghana, then what?
In fact, I got employed by the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation when I was still a student.
Okay.
The late Professor Mills. I used to do commentaries and do some, let me say, sports reporting when I was still a student at the university. At that time, Accra Suffolk, I was so close to Accra Suffolk. In fact, I was the General Secretary of the National Chapters Committee of Accra Suffolk.
Okay.
So I was the Secretary of all the House of Folk supporters.
Wow.
And at that time, Professor Mills was a director of Accra Suffolk. And because of my sports background, he has developed interest in me. I was so close to Professor Mills at that time at the university. Professor Kofi Kumado and Mr. John C. Suman used to do the commentary when we were doing athletics in the school. And so whenever they are not around, maybe they have lectures, I used to stand in. So he saw the talent in me. So GBC were recruiting staff. So he came to me that day, I remember very well, we were playing soccer on the University of Ghana pitch. It was around 4 o'clock. I had joined the Dons Club to play with the Dr. Bani and I've forgotten the rest, the Vladimir Tridanso and all those people.
Okay.
Then Professor Mills came. He used to visit the Sabah Hall Loggia to have a drink. Then he called me and said that GBC is looking for commentators and sports presenters. Am I interested?
Okay.
I said, oh, why not? So he just pulled an A4 sheet from his car and asked me to write the application. So I wrote the application on his bonnet.
Okay.
He brought an envelope and I addressed it and handed it over to him.
Wow. Simple as that.
Yeah, then Mr. Kofi Todubukwachi was the Minister of Information. So I learned he passed it through Mr. Todubukwachi to GBC at that time. Mr. George Mensah Ayi was the Director General. So I was called for audition. So where we have the current National Theatre, there used to be a drama studio. That's where we had. We were over 1,200 people. Okay. I remember some of my mates, Gladys Ampabin, Joyce Enimayeko, Mercy Sowa, Kwame Akufo-Addo, who became a Director General of GBC some time ago. We all came. So I was selected. But by that time I was in the final year at the university. So when I was employed, I had not done my national service. So GBC asked me to do the national service and come back. So they made me a guest artist. Okay. So even when I was doing my national service, I would come on weekend and contribute to the sports programs and all those things. By that time I was still playing football. Okay. I was then playing for Cosmos, second division team. So after my national service, I got to GBC. So immediately I went to a training school. After the training, 2 weeks training, I was given an option to be a voice or a presenter. Okay. Because I not to boast, I excelled in both areas. At GBC, when you finish, the report will be V or P. Okay. But I was given both. Okay. So the late Akwesema Akun called me and said that he was director of radio and said I shouldn't go to TV. I should come to radio. Okay. And told me the opportunities in radio at that time. So I became excited. Okay. So I was posted to Program Operations Department, and I was in the department with people like Beatrice Edu, Daniela J, Daniela Shen, Jocelyn Addison, Selma, a lot, people I've admired. It was good. So I became a continuity announcer at GBC 1 and 2. Okay. And once in a time, I will be asked to read the news on the external service at that time. Okay. And a program controller. So once I was there, the late president did had a discussion with Mr. Ayi that guy I brought to you was good in commentary. So why are you keeping him off? Okay. So I was called. I said, Alan, you are very good. You have a talent in commentary. So why haven't you told us? But one day, with the program operations, you also have to manage, go to the stadium and do the work with the commentators. So I went with the late Seth Bozongo, who was the studio manager at the commentary box. I was there. Nii Thompson was supposed to be the commentator. I didn't know Akwesi Amakong, the then director of radio, had planned with Nii Thompson. So as soon as he came to the studio, the commentary box with a team sheet, he said he was coming. Then he left the commentary box just when the match was about to start. It was a match between RTU and Voradep.
Okay.
It was one of Abedi Pele's last matches in Ghana. So he left the studio. So as soon as the whistle went, there was no commentator. So Mr. Sebozoga said, "Come on, do the commentary." So
and that was
reluctantly, I picked up the microphone and I started. Nii Thompson did not come back. It was later that I got to know that it was fixed.
It was a deliberate.
It was a setup. So I did a commentary until halftime. Then he came. He said, "Well done. You've done well. I was listening to you." I was shocked.
Okay.
So the next day, Monday, when I went to the office, I was called to Kwesi Amakong's office. Then I was handed a letter of transfer from program operations to
the
sports department. And also at my appointment confirmed.
Oh, wow. So at what point did you develop that love for politics? Or was it in your blood all this while?
Let me say this, when I was young, my grandfather used to be the medical doctor to Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Okay.
So when Nkrumah was overthrown, he was actually imprisoned. So he told me a lot of stories about the torture he received whilst in prison. And then he used to have visits from Nana Akufo-Addo's father. And these old politicians, they used to come to his place, they would sit in the compound, they would drink tea, drink whiskey, you know, smoke their cigar. And I used to serve them tea.
Okay.
My grandfather's wife was a white lady. She would prepare tea. Then in my white shorts and white top, I'll go and serve them singlet. I'll go and serve them. I'll serve them tea. And then sometimes, Nana Akufo-Addo's father, President Akufo-Addo, my grandfather, the Brigadier Aquino, and the rest will walk. And I used to walk with my grandfather because he was partially blind at that time from the torture he received at prison. They will walk to Adrabaka Dance Bar and have a drink. So I'll walk with my grandfather and I'll be listening to all the politics they were talking about, all the things they were saying.
Bad boy.
And I also used to work, just move and go and sweep the office of Mr. G.W. Matefiu, Mr. No. So when they were doing this Unigolf thing, Mr. No and Tommy Thompson and the rest, when I'm cleaning his office, then they'll be discussing all these politics things, and I used to listen.
Okay.
So when I got back to Accra, back in Sunyani, communal labor was part of our life. I came back to Accra and I could see people sitting down, the whole area dirty, the drains were dirty, and nothing would be done. So I decided to immobilize my friends within the community for us to clean the gutter, sweep the area, and all those things. Then the district assembly issue came up. So all the boys were saying, "We want you to be the assemblyman." I said, no. That was in 1988. I didn't do it. So Jerry Akwe Thompson became an assemblyman. And along the line, I used to give suggestions, and nobody was listening to me. So I was continuing with my mobilization, organizing the youth for cleanup and all those things. I was then working in GBC. Then I would use my own money to buy kenke, buy water, and all those things. So after the first assembly elections and the second assembly elections, it was almost like a unanimous decision by the youth that you will be the assembly member.
It was non-negotiable.
So I became an assembly member. I contested and won massively. In fact, for a long time, the vote I garnered at assembly elections was the record in the whole country.
Wow.
Yes, until it was broken recently in my constituency by the former assembly member for Kinkan electoral area, Emmanuel Botwe.
Okay.
So I became an assembly member. Then 2 years into the assembly, the youth again came to me and they asked me to contest for the parliamentary candidacy of the NDC.
Wow.
In 1992, when the general election was going to happen, my father was a founding member of the NCP.
Okay.
So the NCP went into an alliance with the NDC. Aka.
Yeah.
So I was proposed as the candidate of the NCP. So when the merger happened, the NDC took the candidature. Okay. So Honorable Ishmael Ayite became the candidate.
Yes, I remember.
So I had to withdraw.
Yeah.
So in 1996, there was pressure from the NCP and the Nkrumah bloc within the constituency that seat, because it's in Nkrumah's seat, should be given back to them.
Okay.
But by that time, I had joined the NDC fully, and I became a ward secretary. But my father was insisting that I should get back to NCP. I said no. Being a founding member of the NCP doesn't make me an automatic member of the NCP. That's your party, but then I want to be in NDC.
Okay.
Before then, when the Eagle Club started,
yeah,
I was drafted to be the acting secretary in the office, because the office was in Zongo Lane. I remember one day, there was a problem between the Eagle Club and then the NDC, when the NDC was about to be formed. When the office one day, the late Dr. Farouk Brahma, Mr. Michael Susudis, and the rest, they came to the office, the late Alaji Waya.
Yeah.
Were there when soldiers and policemen came and arrested all of us, closed the office.
For what?
So I didn't know what was happening. I was there in the office. We were being taken away. When we got to the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, then one of the soldiers said, it was in the Pinsgoa, "You're a small boy like you. Old men are doing things, you are part of it. Come on, get down." Then he used his right leg to hit me out of the Pinsgoa. Okay. And Dr. Farouk Brahma and the rest were taken away. So with all the bruises, when I came home, I came to tell my father. My father said, "No, you are not going to follow these people again. Come back to NCP." I said no.
You still go to NDC?
I became a member of the NDC.
And you'll be vetting the Akufo-Addo's nominees?
We'll be vetting, and we'll make sure we bring out the best people who will serve this country and not serve President Akufo-Addo.
Already, people are speculating that the NDC is looking forward to a payback to some appointees for some actions they've done in the past.
Let me say this. If you ask me objectively, my own opinion, some of the people who have been nominated should go back to Akufo-Addo and tell him, "Boss, I'm grateful you've nominated me, but I think if I assess myself the 4 years you gave me the opportunity to serve, I don't deserve to serve again."
The likes of who?
Well, I wouldn't mention names. You will see it at the vetting. Because obviously to me as a person, if I were those people, I will reject the appointment and have my peace of mind. Because what is going to happen is that those people are going to go through very, very thorough vetting. And I wonder whether those people will get a nod from the committee.
But you don't have the power to reject. You only recommend.
Yes, but the committee can recommend to the plenary that the person should not be approved.
Okay.
If the committee says you should not be approved, you will not be approved.
Wow. Last year during the vetting, we had some bribery allegations that some appointees were going to bribe some people. At this time, what are your expectations as a member of the appointments committee? And by the way, let me ask, have you been approached already by some of the appointees?
Let me say this. I know that if everybody will be approached, not Nii Lante Vanderpuye, because people know me for who I am.
Okay.
I am not in politics for money. I'm not in politics I'm in politics to serve. I believe all the other persons on the appointments committee are also there to serve Mother Ghana and do their work in the interest of this country, faithfully according to the oath we swore. So I don't believe, no one has ever, I've been appointments committee since I came to this house. No one has ever attempted to bribe me. I've never been talked to about bribery. I've never been offered any bribe, and I don't think anybody will do that. I think anybody who will try that will even be grounds for him to be disqualified. That will even be grounds for him to be rejected by the committee.
But how would you know if some of your, some members of the committee, gladly accept those bribes?
Well, those people will have to contact some of us. Definitely. If you go and take it, you definitely have to talk to one or two, because it is not you alone who will be voting. Okay. And you are not the only person who will be asking those questions. How will you know that I have a question that will finish that person? I have the knockout punch. How would you know?
But sincerely, do you think that is something that can happen?
We are a human society, and everybody has his or her own instincts, beliefs, and objectives. So it could happen. But I'm saying there's no evidence whatsoever to back that. And I have not experienced that, and I don't expect anyone to. This particular batch of nominees, I can say for sure, a lot of them will have problems. Because they've been in office before. 4 years you've served. Your personal life will be there. Your 4 years as a minister will be there. Not 4 years ago when you have never served before, and I said we could just look at your personal life, your social life, your competences. This one you've served before. So it is not now that we can give you the benefit of the doubt that go out there and learn. You've served in a capacity before. So you'll be asked questions on your service, your performance. We are going to make sure that if we recommend somebody for ministerial appointment, that person truly deserves to be there.
As a sportsman, what do you think is the biggest, or what would you recommend as the biggest reform for the sports sector?
How? Aisha, this is a question. The best reform I have said over the period is we building sports as an industry, seeing sports as something that could generate revenue for the country, and also investing not only in infrastructure but in the human resource capacity of the sector. Because you see, you can build a stadium, you can have all the teams, but if the people who are managing the teams, the people who are handling the team technically, administratively, and the rest are not qualified, we shall be at the same place.
Very interesting. But I hope your kids are taking after you.
Oh, Aisha.
With the sports.
Oh, God. God, that has been my only cry. None of them. None of them. It's only my son, the one who is at KNUST, who has fallen in love with basketball.
Thank God.
But
the rest?
The rest,
They don't want to have anything to do
my
with
daughter, my third girl, was a very good athlete when she was at Holy Child.
Okay.
She had certificates and things, but unfortunately, she's also quite. Unlike me, who even up to today, I'm playing regularly, I'm exercising regularly, I'm running regularly. Up to today, let me tell you, I do the 400 meters in a minute.
Okay.
Even at this age, 55 years.
It tells on you.
I do the 400 meters, I go around the park in a minute.
Okay.
I play football for not less than 1 hour. I play 90 minutes, I could play 2 hours. I love to always be on my stationary bicycle. I like to do my workout every morning, every evening. And I wish my children could take after me. I've done what I could. Buying rackets, buying basketball, buying football, buying this.
They're simply not interested. But you look very healthy, and it explains why you are very healthy with all that you're doing.
I eat well.
And I know you love music. I love dancing as well.
I love music. I love dancing.
Who's your favorite artist in Ghana?
In fact, it's not about artist per se, it's song. Okay. At every point in time, a song that catches up too well with the people may not be the song I like. Okay. I like my own type of song. At a point in time, I like Kwabena Kwabena. I also developed interest in Daddy Lumba, Oforian Ponsam. Some time back, I look like, for example, for J. I like Amachi Dede. I've always liked one as artist or the other.
You're an all-rounder.
For some few months back, BIM. I used to be Shatawale, SM. I used to be SM, but BIM. BIM came up strongly, but since October 2020, it has been Kofi Kinata.
And is it this one?
Behind the scenes. Aisha, how did you get it? Ow. I love this boy.
You do?
In fact, I've told him if he wants to marry, I'm ready to offer him my third girl. Just because of this song. You know what I like about this song? It's a Nyankopon no bo whistler. Ma oti bench pono oji go king. Ma osha reserve just a no osha obo hat trick.
My goodness.
And I like his takrade fante.
The Jambele.
This song Jambelezino. You know, my wife is from Takoradi.
Oh, I see. That explains
there's this small Takoradi thing in me.
In you. But I love Kofi Kinata too. Another endorsement for Kofi Kinata. I know you want to get up and do the dance.
I like dancing, you know.
Okay, so.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for letting us into your life. And my beautiful dress was made by Needle Thread Designs. Visit their showroom at 34 West Loop, Tesano West, and call them also on 0543298624. But don't forget that Nii Lante Vanderpuye loves sports. So we'll be going onto the football pitch and see some skills. I mean, this interview will be incomplete if we don't see him in full swing. So here we are at the football pitch. Honorable Nii Lante Vanderpuye is here with me. He's going to show us a little of the skills he does on the pitch anytime he goes to play football. He's a very good player though, so you will see him in action as well. Right now, let's do some stretches.
You know, before you start any game, it's good that you stretch so that you open up your body. Other than that, you could have a muscle pull or something. The tendons, the sinews all have to be stretched.
Okay.
So we normally will do some little bit of stretching. Just look at me and try. As I'm about to go down as much as possible you can. And now go onto your right. You go a little. Are you feeling it?
Yes.
And then you turn to the other side a little.
Make the muscles very flexible.
Yeah.
Well, my God.
A little bit of sweat now.
Yeah, you
We're
can
ready
go
to go.
into the park.
I was anticipating a victory, but we were surprised. A little mistake in the defense. I thought that I could just come in and cause a surprise. But it's a good game altogether. It's a good game. We didn't have the luck. It's just unfortunate.
Better luck next time. Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you so much
for talking to
Aisha,
us and allowing us
good.
into your life.
It's been good. It's been good.
Thank you so much. We're grateful.
I wish that we have gone to the boxing gym so that I would do some little bit of shadow boxing.
Maybe. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching. Same time next week, we'll come your way with another exciting personality on PM Personality Profile. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.